Hi, this is Divya, Assistant Professor, Biomedical Engineering Department in SNS College of Technology. In this video, we are going to see about the medical monitoring for patients with chronic diseases. The medical monitoring of a patients throughout the day or for a very long time. Okay, monitoring the patients, the chronic disease patients. The chronic disease that specifically defines that it is the patients with cardiovascular diseases, bedridden patients, as we can identify easily, which means the chronic disease patients, cardiovascular patients, diabetic patients, and arthritis patients and osteoporosis patients. These kind of patients are called the chronic disease patients, where these patients can be monitored to an extent of 1 year or an above. Okay, these are called the chronic disease patients. How we are going to monitor them? Okay, we can see that here is the process of monitoring how the chronic disease patients are monitored. First, we are going to do a regular assessment. What we are going to do, what all the patients is, what does the patient needs. Okay, first is the regular assessment of a patient to be done, and then next the laboratory tests. What type of tests does the patient to be done, okay, to undergo, and the technology use. What kind of technology can be used to assist both the patients and the attenders. Okay, next, what kind of personalized care plans can be done. Okay, first what we are going to do is regular assessments. Okay, first we are going to identify what all the vital parameters, regular daily vital parameters to be taken care of and then it will be given to the laboratory test, and then after the laboratory test, what all the technology can be used to connect this patients, chronic patients, and the attenders, and what kind of personalized care we are going to plan for them. Okay, and educations and support. How does the education and the support system is going to help the chronic disease patients in their hand. Okay, consistent communication. How does this technology, okay, and the personalized care, this will support the patients to have communication with the system and their self. Okay, and then prompt addressing. In what prompt we give, how does it get addressed, and how throughput it gives. Okay, these all the process of chronic disease. How does the medical monitoring can be done to the chronic disease patients? First is regular assessment of the patient to be done, and then laboratory tests. What all the parameters to be identified to a particular disease, that to be taken, and the technology. What kind of technology is incorporated to combine these two, patient and the device. And next is the personalized care. What kind of care we need and how the care process takes place. And then education and the support. Education to the patient, how it is to be used, and the support is how the system gets supported to the patient. And next is consistency communication. Frequent communication to the patient along with the device to be done, and the prompt addressing. How the prompt is specifically given to do a specific task and how it is addressing. These are the steps to be taken in the medical monitoring system. Okay, next is what all the challenges we have. Okay, what all the challenges we have in chronic disease when it is growing to another extent. Okay, what we are going to do is, now 75% of older adults, 75% of older adults lives with at least one chronic condition such as diabetes, hypertension, or COPD. 75% of the older peoples are presently living with any one of these chronic diseases. Either it may be a diabetics, either it may be an hypertension or COPDs. Okay, this diabetes and hypertension are a very common thing where every patient nowadays they are having it. So to monitor them in very advanced care, we can use these monitoring systems. Okay, we can incorporate in them, we can identify how the temperatures gets increased, blood pressures get increased, and how the diabetes, how the sugar level of the patient is found, can be identified. Okay, and then healthcare cost driver. Chronic diseases account for the majority of healthcare costs and hospital visits worldwide. See here, while the patient's going for an frequent hospital visit, we'll be having the patient will not be in a comfortable with going for daily process. Whereas once the system is incorporated with them, it will be very easy for them to identify what is the condition of them, and then they can easily take the medicines how they want. This is the thing, the chronic patients have the challenges according to that. Care model strain. What is called care model strain? Traditional system struggles to meet demand for frequent monitoring and timely interventions. Here it tells that in the traditional systems, which is the traditional system is called, the patient will move on to the hospital frequently, and then they will be monitoring frequently in weekly once or twice a month likewise. That will be a bit risky for the patient to move on daily, move on frequently, and then they will have a body tired or something like that. Now in this medical monitoring system, we can incorporate the system in the body itself, and then we can identify how the patients are feeling and what is the condition of their health. Okay, and thereby there we can give the medicines according to that. That is the thing. We can see what are the challenges are listed out here. One is chronic disease. First one is the chronic disease, where the central health problems to be identified. First is the core problem of the health is to be identified very clearly. Okay, next, the individual health. Personalized well-being affected by a disease. What kind of disease they are affected? First is the central health problem. What does the health problem, the core health problem to be identified, and then we have to specifically understand what issues the individual have. And then healthcare system, what system can be incorporated with them to take care of them. Okay, strain on resource and infrastructure. How does the device has to be infrastructure, and how it is to be attached to the patient, that to be identified. And then economics, that is economically whether it is feasible or not, that is to be identified. A few systems which is not possible economically. Why? Because the system will be of very huge in size, and it will not be incorporated, it cannot be incorporated with the patient. So likewise, it is the economic cost will be very high. These are all the challenges we face in incorporating the medical monitoring system to the chronic patient diseases. Okay, next is global burden. How this specific thing has been taken into an huge account throughout the world. This first, what we are going to do is first to identify the core problem of the individual, and then we have to identify what kind of the disease the individual has, and then the healthcare system, how the healthcare system can be connected to this patient. We have to check whether which hospital is nearby, which device is if there is an emergency, how far we can take to the hospital. It is to be identified, and it is to be incorporated in the device also. Okay, and next is the economically how the device is feasible, whether we can check it is whether it is a small device or a big according to the disease. The device size of the device can be changed. Okay, if we are having a diabetes, right, we can only check the sugar level of the sugar level in the blood. The only thing we can identify, that is very easy for identifying, and we can immediately we can take it to the hospital, and or else we patients itself can have their insulins. This will help them. This will help them in identifying. This will help in identifying the device size of the device. It will be very that can be in a very smaller size. Okay, and then next is the economical status. The size according to the infrastructure, the cost of the device should be identified, and then finally how this will be developed in future to the worldwide. Okay, these are how the chronic disease patients to be identified, and how this has been incorporated to the patient in a medical monitoring system. Thank you.